So we're going to do a bit of a side-by-side comparison between the Monster Lodge and the resort. Had different people ask about what we thought was better of each of them. Not specifically just on YouTube, but in person. So I want to put together a video that just kind of shows the pros and cons of each hut and how we feel each one fares compared to the other in the camping environment and just on like an everyday fish trip. So we're going to start with the Otter Monster Lodge. It's going to be the first one we do. So both these huts have a floor in them. We put a floor under both of them. Built out a 1/2-inch plywood with 2x4 framing. Super simple. We've got a video that'll be coming up probably before this one that shows how we built the floor for the Monster Lodge. So this Monster Lodge is this year's. So it's the Otter with the thermal tech. It's the dark gray, black, so I'm gonna set the tripod up and Dad can talk and discuss what he feels. Oh, we can do that too, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the pros and cons, the con to this one, the roof, starting off with the roof, to the resort, it seems like because the resort is an octagon shape, you have more headroom all around inside the resort. The Monster Hut, you have less headroom, I think. And there's one spot here where the two come together. Right here is a little bit lower inside, so my head kind of touches it. The other places along the wall here, if you're standing along the wall, I kind of got to bend over a little bit.
Well,
so
you're 6'1".
Yeah, I'm 6'1". That's kind of I think the con to this one.
For a 5-footer, it's good.
Yeah, for a 5-footer, the wife said inside there, she said it's good. And then the other thing I noticed, the way the floor, and it might be the way we built the floor, or when we set this up for the first time, these skirting, I think we pulled it out a little too far, because inside we're off the floor by about an inch or two, almost the full length down through here. So you got to make sure you get that bottom part to the floor. We'll see next time we set it up. But like Jesse's resort, it seems like because of octagon shape, it sets on the floor pretty good, don't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, as long as you get the corner started right on the resort, it pretty much follows the boards all the way around with no problem.
Yeah.
And you can't really overstretch it because of the design of the frame on that one.
Right.
Okay, so we're inside the hut with Mom. She's gonna do the pros and cons of the inside of this one.
Pros is you can put the heater at the end and it blows all the way down to the other end, so it does keep it a little bit warmer. My biggest con is it seems like in your mind it's going to be bigger, longer, and wider than it is. Having 2 cots in here, we barely had enough room at the end for the cooler, and a table at the front, you're really squished in the center and not a lot of front room with having the holes drilled and the doors open. I think the resort has better center space and it seems a little bit more open, like you have more room to fit people. You can fit 2 adults and 2 dogs in the Monster Hut, where in the resort they have fit 2 adults, a teenage boy, 2 little ones, and their dog. and still had room to kind of move around. So this one is the
This would be like
Monster
the
Hut
couple suite.
It would be. It would be. It's just.
It's not quite the family model.
No, if you have a family, the resort is definitely, in my opinion, a better option.
Anything else?
I don't think so. The first night we about froze to death, but then we figured out where to set the heater, and it was last night. It was nice and toasty in here, but it's been well below zero at night, so I know that makes a huge difference.
Something I've noticed more in this hut than in mine.
Oh, the nets too.
The nets. These nets are really small compared to mine. And then the other big thing I've noticed, this sweats really bad along the seams to where mine doesn't. And then the poles in here sweat extremely bad compared to mine.
And
like you look,
pieces freeze. They literally have ice on them.
You look right here by where Dad's bed was. I don't know if the GoPro is going to pick it up really well, but it's all moisture all the way across that. And mine in the resort doesn't build the moisture like that. We'll get frost, but it never fully builds, and it's all over. It's up here. It's
this froze. Yesterday morning, this literally had ice on it. The whole entire seam all the way down.
So to me, and I don't know why it would be different, but it seems like that is a big thing I noticed with this one, is it just builds up moisture in different places. Whereas mine, the only place I ever get moisture that actually drips is in the seams, which we're going to try to fix that this summer. We're going to put some seam seal across all of our seams and see if we can't stop that, because I think the biggest thing with that is the outside, it gets frost built up on it, and then when the sun hits it, all that frost melts and it all tries to run down. So we're gonna see if we can't seam seal that. But overall, this isn't a bad hut.
No.
And it definitely holds the heat well, but the biggest thing is just the height restriction. So I'm 5'11", and my head is easily pushing up on it, even over on the edges. Excuse me, Jamie. Right here, I'm plumb up against the wall. I can't even get all the way to the wall, and my head's against the roof. So that's, yeah, like Mom said, she can do it, but she's 5'4".
I'm 5'1".
5'1".
Yeah, and I can even get all the way up to the edge.
Mom can get all the way over,
and it doesn't
but
hit my head.
Big taller people, we can't. Overall though, it is a good hut, and looks like the floor worked out really good. We'll see what it looks like once we take the floor up compared to the resort, but I think overall it's a good hut. It's going to be a good hut. Like I say, it's kind of the couples model. It's not really the family model, in my opinion. Now, if you had bunk beds in there, something like that, you could definitely sleep more people. But
yeah, but don't you think they would touch like right here?
Yeah, I would be concerned the bunk beds would hit the top. I've never put a bunk bed in mine, or
Bunk bed set that far from the floor.
Yeah.
So
it's something that at some point I do want to invest in for my girls. That way we can bring them along. We'll have bunk bed for them. But really, for what, what the pros and cons, it's a good hut. Biggest thing is just kind of getting the feel of it. Dad's been used to my hut for so long, so with mine, we've kind of talked about it before, but you have plenty of room. We've kind of taken the beds and everything down already, so we've shown how it sets up. But the biggest thing I noticed too with mine is mine has a lot more reflector stuff on it than what Dad's does, and I'm not really sure what the reason is with that, but I've got reflector strips all over. Like right on the door, there's reflectors. Dad's doesn't have that. Even the Otter, I think the Otter is even reflecty. But the biggest place I see that water is once it starts running down right here. When the sun hits, if it's really heavily frosted, you'll see it right there. It'll start to run in them seams. So looks like Trenton got all our fish bagged up. But we've been, you know, me, Trenton, and the dog, it's kind of hard to see in here, but there's absolutely no buildup. Open a couple windows so we can kind of see. So there's no buildup on the seams or where my bed was. The only place we get buildup is right down on the floor. My poles aren't sweating or anything. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the difference could be. But realistically, between the two huts, they're both a great hut. Otter's got an awesome product. And, you know, I don't really have anything bad to say about either of the huts. So I think if you can look past the couple little things that might be an annoyance, either hut is going to be great. If you're going for more area to fish with like just two people and you're going to sleep in it and you're going to fish out of it, in my thoughts, the resort offers a little bit more room. We've got 4 holes in here. We can easily fish out of it. But in the same, depending on your bed size too, that's kind of a big factor. If your beds are bigger, you're losing room. But like, if you had the smaller beds, kind of like what we have, I think in Mom and Dad's hut, I really think it might offer more room too. But really between the two, it's 50-50. I love this resort. I've loved it since I got it. You know, I personally can't speak to the Monster Lodge because I've never slept in it, but Mom and Dad sleeping in it, they're both happy. They never really were cold or anything like that. So I really think either hut would be a great choice. This is what our floor looks like underneath the resort with the heater running. So the heater was sitting right here the whole time, and running it on high, we ended up running it on high more than we ever have. I don't really know, but so this is where the heater was, and it melted out probably 1.5 inches deep into the ice. There really wasn't a whole lot of snow on top of the ice. There's maybe just a skim layer, maybe, you know, maybe 1 inch if we're lucky. But so this is what it looked like under the resort. Once we get the floor up and loaded on Mom and Dad's, we'll do the exact same things. We'll want to see what it looks like under there. So this is what the floor looks like under Mom and Dad's. So their heater was right there, and it actually is double the size of where our heater was, which is really interesting. And it's deeper than ours by probably double as deep as ours was. They had that little fan sitting in here. And Trenton, can you step off sides just a touch? Coda, move, sweetie. Coda, move, sweetie. And you can see all the way up to right here and across like this part is all melted out. Which the only thing I can come up with is because the fan sitting in here circulating the air maybe was making it warmer in places. But under where the beds were, there and there, still basically the same as ours. So really the only real difference was this right here, and maybe it's because it's a skinnier area.
There you go.
the heat was more trapped in this area. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of interesting to see the difference between the two, which that doesn't really affect your livability of the hut or anything. It's just interesting on the difference of how much it melted out. So